What is that?
Hey, PerfBytes listeners, before you get started with today's episode, please pay attention to this message from our sponsor, SmartBear.
We all know if you want better answers, you need better data. After years of supporting old tools and practices, today's testing methods need to be able to optimize modern applications. The flexibility to use tools wherever they best fit, with seamless integration that makes every engineer on your team more valuable and effective. That's where SOSTA comes in. SOSTA's load testing flagship product, Cloud Test, delivers actionable intelligence that lets your performance team drill into live data to pinpoint any performance issue. Leading brands like Nordstrom, Best Buy, DirecTV, SAP, and MSN have all turned to SOSTA to simulate more realistic traffic for load and performance testing for web and mobile apps at any scale, anytime from the cloud. Use predictive analytics to determine whether optimizing your site will provide enough return on investment to justify any suggested changes. Cloud Test gives you complete load testing flexibility from development to production. Let's talk about SOSTA's Impulse. It's the leading real user monitoring technology for better insight into your real users. Impulse allows you to accurately monitor your customer experience and take control of your business results. See how performance affects user behavior in real time so you can optimize in real time. The analytics capabilities found inside of Impulse will astound even the most senior operations engineer and leave your executives drooling for more rich visualizations and data delivery essential to their decisions about global application performance. SOSTA's Cloud Test and Impulse can instantly transform your application performance practices into a world-class operation. Learn more at www.sosta.com.
It's time for PerfBytes.
The fourth square meal of the day. Don't book our PerfBytes. Waffles. Microwave ready.
Blah, blah, blah,
Add nutritional value to your brain.
It's time for PerfBytes with your hosts Mark Tomlinson, James Pulley, and Howard Chorney. PerfBytes. Whatever.
Must have more meat.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second hour of the 2015 PerfBytes BBQ.
Woohoo!
Crowd has thinned out a little bit. We're left with performance engineering staff of a number of different companies. Let's see. We have Howard. You're still here, despite not having a nap.
Hi, Howard.
Hi.
Alex.
I'm tired. He's been up really early.
Hi. Yeah.
Jeff.
Good evening. Hi.
Carlos.
Hello.
Always gotta be different, Carlos. Okay.
That's why we love Carlos.
Everyone else said hi. You gotta say hello. Okay. Man, we see how this is gonna go.
I didn't even notice that everybody said hi.
I'm going to change my name to Cowela.
Cowela? Why?
Alex. Alex's donation to the Fest is a Cowela 12-year.
Which is an excellent beverage, by the way.
It's an Elay. I love Elays. Ardbeg. I'd do Ardbeg versus Cowela any day. Those are rivals, I'd say. Howard, you're not
If I knew, I know I'm not.
So,
And if I knew anything about Scotch, Mark, I'm sure I'd agree with you, but I don't know anything about it.
So there are a couple of kind of record-keeping things we need to get out of the way right here at the top of the second hour. One, we need to say happy birthday to Richard Bishop's wife. That would be Sarah Bishop. Happy birthday.
I got to find the happy birthday song.
Happy birthday to you.
Are we doing jazz?
Happy birthday to you. From the crew at PerfBytes.
Yes.
Happy birthday. And she posted a picture of drinking some champagne, I think.
Yes.
From in a sunset somewhere in the UK.
Yes, from Scotland.
Well, I got to tell you, Sarah, that's really nice and everything, but why don't you call up Ticketmaster UK and instead help them to fix their things, because it's just things. I mean, there's no room for vacation over there. All citizens of the United Kingdom should not be on vacation until the crashing ticket websites are fixed.
So we got a couple more items that are general record keeping. Howard and I have had this little rival thing going on today involving barbecue, and I've been tweaking him all day, and he's been very politely responding, as he is so polite in responding.
Can we explain the different dishes that you prepared? So
Well, that
Howard,
might
do
be
you
a good
wanna
idea.
Describe the smoker.
So Howard, would you go ahead?
Yes, I smoked I smoked ribs this evening. This morning. Whenever I started. Today, I smoked ribs today.
That's awesome. How did you do that?
Well, I had the Brinkman Trailmaster Limited smoker, and I filled the firebox with.
Oh, that's good.
With. What the fuck did I fill it with? Wood.
Wood.
We're live.
You're
I'm not even supposed to do that. Oh,
yes.
I
we're live.
filled it with hickory today. So
Yeah.
I smoked with hickory, and I smoked my racks of ribs with
Now,
my
the
rub.
firebox burns like maximum 500 some degrees, and then
Yes.
it goes into creates smoke in the smoker, which I think you kept.
Which
right
I
around
regulated the
250.
temperature exactly. Kept the temperature regulated at 250 throughout the cook.
4 racks of what kind
Four
of ribs?
racks of St. Louis style ribs today.
Good.
Nice big ribs, and we had a nice bark on them. I used my little rib rub because, as James and I both agree, you don't use your butt rub on your ribs.
That is true. The ribs come out too spicy.
Yes.
I know my wife and I agree to the same thing.
Don't use your butt rub on your ribs.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We'll get back to barbecue.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of the cheese course.
Yes. So my preparation was slightly different than Howard's. I took a modified slow cooker style. So I actually did use a slow cooker, and I prepared a barbecue shoulder. One can argue whether it was actually a barbecue preparation since it didn't involve smoke. However, my rub did involve a lot of smoked ingredients.
Okay.
So we're looking at smoke by proxy, and then I shredded it so I have like a pulled pork.
All right.
So we have ribs versus pulled pork.
All right, so
And my ribs did fall right off the bone when they were done.
Your
All right,
ribs are very good.
guys, the competition is since over. So any grandstanding now on whether it's
I'm not really
falls off the
grandstanding.
bone
I'm
and-
just stating a fact. They did fall
No,
off the bone.
I get it's a fact, but it's now we need to come to some sort of a tally, and of course none of our women are here our spouses and partners are here to figure out who it is. So we're going to take a tally. You guys can't vote because we
can't? They should.
Do you want to vote for Howard? Do you want to vote for James? It's not going to happen. So see how this is futile. So we're going to
And so there are 4 of you.
there's 4 of us. So we're going to take the guy vote from the 4. From the 4 of us on which we liked better. I got to say, my vote is for Howard. I liked.
Thank you, Mike.
I liked the smoking better. I love both of them, but I like the smoked rib better than the pulled pork. I'm sorry, James.
On my side, I didn't taste the ribs warm, but the pulled pork were warm, so I go for James.
Yeah.
So I would next time I should try it.
So now we're 1-1.
Right.
So it's a tie. Jeff, what do you think?
It is deeply painful to render an opinion here because both were so wonderful.
Agreed.
Both were so delightful. I had them in alternating succession, 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
I did. Yeah.
Good for you.
I went
I
back
only
with
had one.
gluttonous abandon. They were both so fabulous.
And Jeff, we're happy that you went back 3 times.
Yes.
I am too. Believe me.
I think we're flat. I know James and I are both flattered with that.
It was incredible. I have to say, and I feel terrible saying this, that the ribs won by a photo finish, by a nose, by a hair, by a millimeter, and then only because of personal preference. I just like biting into a rib. You know,
you go.
The pulled pork was fabulous, and I loved it. And
Yeah.
hard to make
and,
the
and
call.
you know what? I think the ribs are going to win by default because, Alex, you didn't have either one.
Yeah, so I abstained because I tried something else.
So that gives so we've got ribs 2-1, but somebody needs to run out and ask the women for their vote.
I'll do that.
You want to do Carlos? Would
I
you
will
the
do
honors?
that. Yes.
All right, we'll talk about other stuff while you're away.
While you
we
go
won't
get
talk
them.
about you.
Why not?
We'll start
and
talking about
we
the
will
cheese.
not assign you a task in the project.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so just get a tally. Whatever the final score is fine.
I'll do it quickly.
All right, thank you,
But I don't
Carlos.
give you too much time.
No, that's
Thank-
awesome.
thank you.
Don't yeah, it's okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, the other thing that we do in the cheese course, as we did last year, is we taste different cheeses. Now, the one that's missing, and I'm sad it's missing, was the blueberry. What was the blueberry one we had?
There was a blueberry cheddar, and then there was a horseradish cheddar. The horseradish cheddar I was not able to get. That was a favorite last year.
Yes.
But I did get a horseradish chive
This is the horseradish chive.
Munster.
Mustard, and then you had a Clemson blue.
Clemson blue cheese. So Clemson University, their own strain of blue cheese. A 7-year-old cheddar.
It's probably this guy.
And
The
a
lighter
smoked
one.
Gouda.
Smoked Gouda. So, did you guys taste the cheese?
Yes.
All right, now voting on the cheeses. This one is not really voting one or the other, but did you have a favorite?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm a Pennsylvania Dutchman, and my grandfather grew up on a farm, and we ate things like tongue and stomach and all the things that farm folk eat.
I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, yeah. I always like to shock. But anyway, lot of horseradish in my life.
Yes?
And that horseradish cheese was great. And the horseradish was fresh. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like the crap out of a jar you get in the grocery store. It was the real deal.
All right, I'm tasting
it was wonderful.
I'm tasting it right now in honor of Jeff's comment. It's a little squishy for me as a cheese.
Oh, it's a soft cheese.
Well, I don't mean it's soft, but for a soft, it's a little too spongy. You can have a soft cheese without being spongy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it's about a 10-second wait. The horseradish starts to hit you on the back of your tongue. I like that.
Get the little back burner
And a
going.
little onion coming up.
Oh, the onion? It's the chive a little bit. Yeah.
If you exhale through your nose at the wrong moment, you really get the full effect. Yeah.
All right, that's good. I'm doing live. By the way, if I hadn't said this, I'm doing live cheese tasting because part of PerfBytes performance is a performance of cheese as well. All right, Alex, did you try the cheeses?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
And that horseradish stand out, by
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
I never tried anything like this. So others are good too, but again, maybe that is so unusual. So
I have an extra Gouda here if you want to try the Gouda. You want to try the Gouda? Take one of the little Goudas there. There you go. Okay, so Alex is going to try the Gouda. Carlos, what do you think? What's
You
the
should
challenge?
mention that he's back with an envelope from Funk and Wagnall.
He's eating shoes.
Oh, yes. Okay, so you actually computed this on your smart device.
Microphone, sir.
Yeah. All right, you ready? Carlos, lay it on us.
So audited by the accounting firm of
PricewaterhouseCoopers.
yeah,
No,
the tallies.
some of those guys are crazy. They always look so nice in the suits, and then you invite them on an IT project, and it's
I know.
Okay,
So
Then all they want to do is audit you.
there's 4 ladies sitting outside having some cheese.
yeah.
yes.
One didn't try either.
Okay, so that's like Alex at the nil.
Yeah.
So we got 3 tasters.
One lady couldn't decide.
So abstaining.
She said both. She votes for both. So each.
So you
I,
each
I
get a
tried. I tried to push, but
Okay.
couldn't.
Yeah.
One lady didn't try either as well, but she said from the looks, and this is being barbecue, the barbecue wins. The
ribs.
And another lady, she was a little bit. She couldn't vote against somebody dear.
She was
and close.
biased.
She was biased, so she went with the ribs.
Which means
So-
at heart she probably wanted to go with the pulled pork.
No,
Huh?
that wasn't.
You're saying there was some sort of marital. You don't.
I
have
didn't
to
say
vote
that.
against.
I didn't say that.
I
said
okay.
like
All right.
And
Still, I think
so we
you're
have
a-
one
he's a
vote
vote
on
ahead.
we had one vote on visual presentation. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Visual alone.
being a barbecue. So,
Okay.
Right.
but then I asked the lady. Everybody said, since the not being barbecue, everybody said yeah, the ribs. They agree with the ribs as the vote from the ladies.
So
Being
Now I could make a biblical reference here
So we're gonna have
involving a rib.
Are we gonna have sour grapes, or are we just gonna concede?
You know, it's
You were the one pushing for the vote. I was
You
happy
know,
that
Howard,
everybody was happy.
I have to concede. I'll be a gentleman about it. I'll pout about it later and cry into my whiskey. But okay.
I'm happy that there was a competition because we had the best of both.
Yeah,
And they were both.
as the tasters,
they were both.
we all benefited.
They were both delicious. I thought the pulled pork was amazing.
All right.
And I thought the ribs were great.
Okay, we'll get you a room later,
They must
guys.
be friends. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we come out of it a little bit ahead on the ribs, so good on you, Howard.
Thank you.
And it's mostly for folks who might listen to this show and think, you know, I think I'll go to that thing next year because there's going to be awesome ribs. But there's also going to be what I think is the most unique and really tasty pulled pork.
Absolutely.
And James, don't give it up because, you know, maybe we need to broaden the audience. And it's your first time maybe making this away. You're both coming from the away team, but for 2 years running, you held the only barbecue in town in Monroe, North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not. This is you're entering a larger world. There's competition. Like Howard, we need to know. You know, you need to accept that. It's okay. We'll cry
I need
later.
to go to my happy spot.
Regardless,
But-
I'm trying the cheddar. Did you try the cheddar?
They
Yes,
all
the
are
cheddar was
good.
It's like an aged
amazing.
cheddar?
But
That
I
was a-
think like one without the other is not the same.
It's the
Boy.
competition that makes it better.
Yes.
Just dropping some serious wisdom. What was that again? One without the other is not the same.
Correct.
All right, maybe we should put some Zen music in the background.
1, 2, 3.
Carlos Master. Say it again, Carlos. Go ahead.
One without the other is not the same.
Dude, I feel totally enlightened. And now I'm having cheese and Cal Ela 12 year. All right, so you just had a bite of the Gouda. What do you think of that? Not as good as the horseradish? This is Alex on the mic.
They are all good, but I say that horseradish for me stand out because it is
A
unusual.
little bit of a bite.
It was
it's a
unique.
love it or hate it cheese.
So since we are in performance, which one can you eat more of?
Capacity-wise.
Capa-
If you're going to do a capacity plan for cheese tasting,
That is a complicated question because
Oh, that-
capacity and
I would go
performance
for-
not
I would go
simple
for the blue
thing.
cheese on
It
that one.
depends how much I will drink and what my plans afterwards.
See,
is there a graph in Impulse for horseradish?
well, we'll
Can we-
just have to fire a
can we
beacon.
add one?
We'll have to fire a beacon on.
can
We'll have to have
tough-
the
tough to make
horseradish beacon, and maybe
yeah,
we'll put
horseradish versus alcohol consumption.
exactly.
Oh, speaking of alcohol consumption, I'm having the Cal Ela. What did you had? You had one of everything, didn't you, Carlos?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
I
Carlos.
wouldn't miss.
That's awesome.
We'll have to write a rule that judges the difference in the cheese.
All right, we had kind of an agenda.
We do. So we've hit
What
a
do we
couple
wanna
of punch
start
list
talking about?
items. And next up, we've got an agenda which says we need to revisit the Performance Manifesto.
Yes. Now, you guys remember? You're familiar with the Performance Manifesto?
Yeah, we remember, but it was about, I guess, a year ago. Yeah.
It was almost exactly a year ago. It was last year's
So there
barbecue.
The question is why we still revisiting and that what we are going to
well,
do with
Because
that.
there's always room for improvement.
So we're revisiting it because Mark and I have been busy
Printed it out.
and have fallen down on the job, sort of, in carrying this thing forward. So we need to reinvigorate everybody on the idea of a performance manifesto and a manifesto where nobody has to die.
As well as every year, there's always a refresher. So there should be a refresher. This is a new year.
Wait, that's
been
very
a little bit.
profound, Carlos.
Again, like we
So
need
Jeff,
the Zen.
come on up.
Yeah.
Take a look. So I just brought the manifesto up just to give a little background. So when we did launch last year the Performance Manifesto at the 4th of July party, and have you seen it? Yeah, take a look up here. It's on the screen.
Or do you want me to read it off, Mark?
Well, I don't think we need to totally review it unless there's some. But what happened is we probably had 20 different people jump on the thread
And said, hey,
and start giving
that's
feedback
kind of a
and
cool
tips
idea.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're all full-time performance testing consultant people, so we don't necessarily stop everything we're doing and write the Performance Manifesto. We did put it on the website,
Yeah,
so it's out on the website.
yeah.
I think the core tenets are actually really good. I think they need to be refined. So I think at this point, I'd say to us, maybe we start on the Slack group, sort of some collaboration around these different tenets. And we find maybe, Howard, you could be a steward for one of the tenets. Carlos, you could take one. Alex, you could take one and just become the steward, the adoptive parent. By the way, that was the sound of, what was it, Jeff?
I'm sorry.
He's trying the Cal-Ela.
I am.
I'm with you.
I still want to.
Don't close it.
It's a very important sound. Carlos is right behind you.
I need to read the manifesto too.
Yeah.
I still want to add one in there.
There's still room to add one. We added one at the bottom. No, that was modified. So what was the one you were going to add?
I don't have the wording for it yet, Marks,
but it's around what kind of idea?
It's around end-to-end performance, just like, the way I've been advocating lately on testing for making sure there's redundancy, making sure that all the components, it's just not one app. It's a whole, all the components, whole system. That's kind of where it generates around.
So we tried to do this wording that is sort of we place a priority or we have a preference for A over B.
Yes.
But I'll ask Jeff. You just gave just a brief perusal there. In your history in IT, what are your thoughts on something as just simple, basic principles as this?
Well, it worked really well for the Agile folks,
right?
And certainly I like the general direction. I mean, you can't get to specifics without these sorts of generalities as a guiding post, so it's great to have them. That's kind of pablum, though. I'm saying generalized things here. You know what? To be honest,
you're right. If you come up with specific things in absence of the bigger strategy, the bigger picture, I mean, you might know itty-bitty little point A, but you don't know the whole alphabet.
Well, yeah, and thank you, because I was getting awfully general there, but that was where I was trying to get, and thank you for that. Yeah, when you have a set of rules, you have to force them down people's throats. When you have a set of principles and a set of guiding ideas, people tend to get more. They seem to have a greater affinity to that.
I found, at least in Agile, and part of the reason I think it took off is because it left room for you to make it your own. I like that idea. I kind of think my idea matches that. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Does this sort of think that maybe for a performance person in IT, they could, we could kind of pick up on some of these ideas.
It feels like it, and you know what it reminds me of, and I never know whether I'm pronouncing it right, but Donald Knuth or Donald Knuth, the great computer.
Knuth
said that, now this is way back in structured programming, which is an old topic, but he said it's not a set of rules, it's a state of mind.
Yeah, I think that's totally true.
So,
All right.
Making it a set of rules, people are not as apt to just adapt a set of rules. So by setting it up the way it is, it kind of lets people put some of their own spin on it and, fit it to tailor to fit their needs a little more, which will make them more apt to adopt something like this.
They'll feel like they own it a little bit.
Yes,
themselves.
because one size does not fit all. Period.
So, Carlos, you just gave a little perusal, and you've been doing.
Just wanted to ask a quick question. Who's the main audience of this manifesto?
You and me and everyone else that listens to PerfBytes.
Project managers and developers.
That's where, I was trying to get to that point, as if other than just
practitioners,
other than practitioners in the performance art,
right?
Performance testing and engineering.
Yeah.
If you want to separate them, but the main thing is, would that manifesto also speak to developers so that it's
to speak to the Agilistas and the DevOpsias who are trying to engineer out QA. Let's be blunt about it.
And that's what I was getting to. So you're reading my mind, it seems.
Yeah.
But that's what I was trying to get to, is to try to make that manifesto.
And I apologize for doing that without your express written permission from the head of Major League Baseball.
Even if we all know, even if you imagine you could shortcut performance testing or shortcut quality, a check of some sort, some validation, if you can try to automate your way out of it in the DevOps land, when the chickens come home to roost, you're going to have to learn how to do a little bit more serious performance testing, validation, and get your engineering game on. These principles would help you kind of get your game together of, all right, now that maybe we tried it without performance testing, so we'll back up. We got to put together a load testing team. You know what? We could still follow these kinds of principles now that we have to back up and do it.
So how do you get to a point where they don't have to back up?
That'll never happen.
See, that's where I'm trying to see how do you educate the developers where they tell you okay, the best place to test is to fail in production.
It's a good point.
And we don't want synthetic testing because it doesn't mean.
You see, that gets to a system of checks and balances.
Yeah.
If you're going to push your failures to production, then somebody actually has to own the financial impact of that. It's got to go against somebody's bonus, or it's got to go against a bonus pool.
But
for
it's working
developers.
now.
Or it's painful enough.
No. It's working because nobody is feeling pain from that. They're just simply expecting failure.
But at the developer's level...
You see, that's right. It's working for them because they're bonused on cycle time. I want to push it out faster. I get 8 builds a day.
They're trying to meet customers' expectation and demand, and they're trying to fulfill that from a functionality perspective. From what they
functionality perspective.
From what they
non-functional.
From what they see, it's that it's working. They think it should be no problem from performance because they are living in the developer world, which is very, very small. As I see it, is that they're just looking in their own window.
So
I'm not sure. I'm taking it out of the manifesto.
I want to draw an analogy here. Who here likes fast cars?
I think everybody.
Motorcycles.
We're
How
old
about
guys.
Motorcycles.
Motorcycles.
Howard.
Considering I have a nice,
Alex,
considering I have
Alex
a,
drives a Prius. He's very reasonable.
considering I have a,
It's not really.
Where are you going to use this car?
Okay. So
Because
now he's talking like a
turned,
tester.
I found out.
here's my analogy. There's no high performance solution without some level of ownership. If you go to any high performance car manufacturer in the world, Corvette, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Porsche, there is
Nobody saw it.
there is ownership at the engine level.
yes.
There is somebody who signs off on that engine. There's a build plate that goes on it. If that engine fails, that person is held accountable for that failure. We do not have that level of accountability in development pushing straight to production. If we had that as a counterbalance, and you see that's where we need to work towards, is that if we're going to say we're going to push directly to production, we need to have some ownership, and perhaps what you do is you make a giant bonus pool, $10 million, and then ops can pull from it, and you get a bad release. Go ahead.
Sorry, to your point, what you're talking about is Ferrari and high-end cars. They do that. Kias,
A lot of people driving Prius.
they don't
Corvette.
do that. They don't
and
have a
even though
plate
About
on their engine.
about car and US, I would abstain from that because I was a witness as my Honda Odyssey, which is minivan,
also a really nice
about
minivan, actually.
went on
Plenty of space, good
115 miles per hour, and still.
But the point that I'm trying to get
So
to
you
is
don't
that
need Corvette to go quick. You can get high above speed limits even with.
Yes, but if you had 6 children, you would have to make multiple trips in the Corvette.
Yeah, that would be
see, that's
another
just
problem.
never
But it'd
worked
sure
out
be
that
a hell of a
So-
lot
so-
more
And you
fun
have
to
should
drive.
have small
Carlos.
children.
My
Exactly.
point-
Very small children.
my point on what you just mentioned is that on the high end, and if you look at software that is being developed high end, performance is part of it. And they usually look at that, and it's pretty very well documented and followed. My point is that where there is agile, and agile bread and butter is to go pretty quick and go into production. Now, some product owners are very interested in performance and they want it, but when it comes to the engineers, developers that are developing code, for them, they don't share the same because they think that they know
The
and it's
developers
going to work.
don't share with the
Let
business, and the
me
developers
share
know.
a few.
Correct. And
Yeah.
I'm out.
all right.
Let me share a couple of thoughts about it, because developers, at least I may be like working with pretty good developers,
Yeah.
and actually they are doing what they are told to do. If there are some priority for performance. They quite capable to improve performance up to level requested and much even beyond that. If requirements to fit, say, schedule,
they'll meet the schedule.
Meet schedule. Whatever is priority, they will do that.
Yep.
So your point is, if it's not specified as performance, as a requirement, as something that the product owner would say, we absolutely have to meet this throughput or this response time or this particular level of performance, they'll do it if you tell them.
But
I agree with that.
So hang on, let me say this, and we'll bring us back to the manifesto. I think we're missing, maybe in the manifesto, something that gets after specifying the target and making it clear to the engineer. That would help both developers and DevOps.
I would say it should be clear for everybody, for all stakeholders.
I totally agree with what you're saying, guys. But in Agile is that when this problem happens, like I'm developing now, and my customer is one, I'm going to develop for this customer.
And it comes down
without knowing that eventually there's going to be like 1,000 customers accessing that system.
Yeah.
So should you develop the system now to accept 1,000 or wait until I have 1,000 and then I have a problem in my hand because the code was not made to cover that?
I don't think we're going to – I don't think our intention is to write the product owner's manifesto because I think there is a deficiency, as you point out, in truly clearly understanding a requirement. If we're Scott Barber, it's called a desirement. It was a classic perf rant where he said, I don't think requirements exist because – there's people who don't meet performance requirements and they push anyway because they just don't care. They just don't know. So we'll call it a desirement. I desire it. If it's not there, we'll get to it some other point. But I think, Carlos, to your point, there is something missing in the manifesto about we prefer to be clear. So we can maybe visit that in the manifesto. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll look it up.
I've been silent. I haven't been saying anything. I've been letting everyone else talk. But getting back to my point of end-to-end performance, we, being the expert, need to influence other organizations, all right? Now, the way to influence another organization is to understand what they're... Let me finish. To understand what they're doing, where they're coming from, and show them, guide them by helping them get there with our expertise, all right? So not only be the facilitator, but, you know, if you spend the time to kind of understand somebody's job, I'm not saying you're going to do their job. You're not going to tell them how to do their job, right? But since we're talking about development right now, if you understand some of the methodologies involved so they can achieve better non-functional better performance, and you help them and sit with them and say, hey, have you thought of this? Or, you know, can we discuss that or something? You'll find people will be, I found, in my experience over the last few years, that people are very receptive when I sit down with them and start talking to them. So it's establishing your credibility as the expert and then building that collaboration with whomever you're working with. And I think that is going to be, that's a huge way to overcome a lot of the obstacles we're talking about.
So two of your points are included in the manifesto. The one particular I just want to bring up quickly states, we prefer to facilitate clarity in the definition of performance requirements over waiting for others to define the requirements for performance. So, which is to your point out, if we're...
it's still not get up to that point. So I guess that point is, and I completely agree, about really end-to-end performance and its actual impact to business.
Right.
So we don't interested in same maybe specific SQL execution plan. We want to look at end-to-end performance and how it will impact business.
What's the value of it to the person wanting to run that query? Why do they want to run that query? Yeah, exactly. All right. So totally valid
our
feedback.
everyday's life, we will look into technical details. For other stakeholders, it is important say, overall picture, end-to-end performance, how it will impact business, and what kind of problems they could face.
Yeah. All right. So this conversation is evidence of the fact that whenever we bring up the phrase Performance Manifesto, everyone jumps in and wants to jump in. So we have a good list to start the conversation and keep it rolling even a year later. So we'll do that.
And a hot topic. I mean,
ahead,
who
Jack.
doesn't want to talk about it? Which is why I'm bursting in here. I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds
No,
as
of
a new
course
member here. But it seems to me like the whole problem starts, and I'm an Agilista, but I think one of the big shortcomings of Agile is it's somewhat architecturally hostile.
Yeah.
Right? And so absent an architecture, I think this touches on your point, Jim, where you were saying about, making someone the owner of something. Without an architecture, you can't say you're the engine owner because you're not going into it knowing you're going to have...
Which part's the engine?
And
who owns that?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
there's a more cynical perspective, which is to suggest that people are dime or dollar motivated. That is, if you really want high performance, you put a dollar number on it and say you hit it. And even if the schedule is said to be priority, but the schedule is not in the bonus plan, but the performance is, the engineer, the individual, will work towards what they get compensated on.
Lightsquare.com is a proud sponsor of PerfBytes. Lightsquare is a unique offering for performance tuning as a...
Scope
for separate corporations. I just thinking that I participated in many discussion of around different aspects of performance, and none of this conversation results in anything tangible. All right. So my idea is that yes, we need to get at least to some agreement about that kind of a manifesto, improve it as soon as we can, but we need it to get out because it's actually small enough, and I don't see why we need to spend many years to get it out.
True.
I think Carlos hit it on the head. There are people who are not within the performance profession who don't even get invited to think about these precepts. So
And they won't.
They wouldn't. So the manifesto, if we write it correctly, invites people who are not practitioners to go, hey, I didn't even think about this. At least I can grasp this short list of great ideas, and away I go. And it could be a product owner, it could be even an IT director or a sprint planner or something like that.
So
and that
here's
would make our life easier.
We're
So
gonna
here's
take a short break and be right back from this call.
Lightsquare.com is a proud sponsor of PerfBytes. Lightsquare is a unique offering for performance tuning as a service for web architectures. Lightsquare delivers tuning recommendations in under 72 hours without the typical investment in tools, license fees, or consultants, where we do the work up front. With Lightsquare, you only pay based upon the level of improvement. Find out more about Lightsquare's unique pricing model at litesquare.com/pricing.
All right, heated debate.
So I think one question is,
Great
good
conversation.
how do you publicize the manifesto to make it as popular worldwide, whatever, as the Agile Manifesto? How do you get it out there?
2 ideas for you. One, we keep the circle of people who are performance gurus on the list here, contributing to this. Number 2, we reach out to people who are cohorts in other parts of IT or advisors and strategic advisors in IT like Jeff and start saying, can you get on board with this? Lee Hansen is Agile Dad. He's a great Agile super guru in the Agile world. He should grab this. Why don't we reach out to the Agile Manifesto creators and say, can you guys adopt this and carry it forward? Because they're all up in arms about the Agile Manifesto itself being diluted. Some recent comments from one of the founders was, we've kind of missed it. We've totally screwed up Agile, and we got to revisit this. Great. Would you guys include kind of our sister document? So that's something we can do.
It's important. I just think it's
We can
important
also
to
teach about it.
We need to get it out there. That's the thing. We can talk about it in our inner circle all we want, but unless we figure out a way to really socialize this,
Howard,
we'll just be talking amongst ourselves the whole
Lest
time.
I remind you, we're broadcasting live on the internet right now what you just said.
And about Agile Manifesto, it was just published on a page. And
But
that's
it's
it.
really taken off.
In
We
a
own
way,
Performance
although
So
Yes,
I'm
we
not
do.
sure that
Howard-
all people who saying that they practice agile
If you
are
go
aware about it.
if you
because
go to performancemanifesto.org, it's there. It's published.
Howard, there's
Yeah, but
what you're asking about, or what you're suggesting, is how can we make it become something that is spoken amongst everybody, not just performance engineers. But that's one, as well as we broaden the horizon of people who can reach it.
CFOs
I
in the
think
CFO
Mark
office.
hit it on the nail. Is that they're like different? We can hit some conferences.
need
You guys go to a
influencers.
lot to STP or whatever. We can.
We'll do
That
it at
should be
Cissp.
something.
And I got to tell you guys, as one of the original authors, if you just stay focused on writing it up in a really great way and stay committed to that, and it's good enough, people will pick it up and run with it. We are not closed in what we're building here in any way, shape, or
it
form.
was
agile,
never
right?
said
It's
to
agile.
get
It's a living.
finished.
It's a living
It
document.
never was published as final documents, and actually, after short discussion, never happened for a year. Actually,
Yeah.
Again, and looking at it, I have a few comments. I am not agree with couple of statements, and we have one more suggestion that
One
makes
additional-
sense for
and
me.
there's been a
yeah.
lot of debate
So
on
my suggestion would be, say, still revive that discussion, get feedback, get at least a dozen of people agree on that. After that, we say that it is final, that published, that signed by, let's
So
say that
here's the
a
other thing.
dozen people.
Getting it out of draft form and putting it into, maybe by the end of the year, we challenge ourselves. We put it in a way that it can be signed by others, so people
Yeah.
can start putting their name on it and
Yeah.
agree.
But-
I agree to these.
But it's still rather raw right now, by my opinion. We still need a little bit of discussion about it.
Yeah, sure.
Hey.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that we need to satisfy everybody's opinion, because we have so many opinion about any subject, but at least we need to get some discussion. Again, I can provide a few comments right now, or offline, or whatever.
Yeah.
Would be
Uh,
the
we'll-
best
we'll
way.
actually-
I
You know
just want to
what?
remind you, Alex, this Google Doc with the Performance Manifesto is shared with you for the last year.
And do you
See,
think
we're all a little too busy. I think that's really the overarching
I
dilemma.
guess at the moment when it was published, I commented it, but
See?
it was long
Just
time
saying.
ago. So
Again, a part of it. So we can kind of table the next steps on the manifesto, because I think collaboration and continued authoring and writing and revisions is the right way to go.
So what I just heard, this is interesting, what I just heard, and again, we're all busy, so there's definitely no blame throwing or anything going on here. What I just heard is that basically we did it at first, we said it, and then we forgot it. Okay? And that was exactly what happened. It was
and
set
that's what
it.
happens with a lot of things.
Exactly. It was set it and forget it. So how do we get out of the set it, forget it mode? So one
Who's
thought I
the
just
owner?
No, I have an idea.
Who's the
you
owner?
guys pay me $25,000 a piece so I can stop working and only do the manifesto for the next year.
Yeah, that's
How's
nice.
that?
No, I'm saying
come on,
You good?
small manifest,
okay,
and you
first-
need 25.
$5 grand. Can I get
cents.
$5
So-
grand a piece? $5 grand a piece, and then I'll quit
So
for
you're taking-
a week and a half.
I think
So you're
I
thinking,
think a bottle of whiskey at
The
the,
point-
end of that would be
guys,
good.
one thing is that there
Carlos
should be
is
an
speaking.
owner,
You know,
There should be
Carlos,
an
were you trying
owner.
to say something?
and everybody else is a contributor. Somebody needs to be an owner of it, and you suggested something, is that we have a challenge by the end of the year. We need to have
So-
it out,
so-
or sooner.
So Carlos, as often happens when someone says someone needs to be an owner
I'll be
of
the
this
owner.
document.
Like jury duty.
I'll take the ownership if that's what you're trying to get.
So just
but
own
I think
one
he
of
will,
them.
he also came up with the owner, and he wrote most of it. So that I'm pointing to Mark.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
busy.
don't want to do that,
just,
so-
if you don't want to do it, just pay me $10 grand. $10 grand is fine.
In what kind of currency?
Pesos is fine.
Okay.
No, that works. All right,
Yen.
so that's still the Performance Manifesto. Still
Yeah,
going.
so,
and Howard's point, if
realistically-
we just great ideas without a full-time, let's make it happen.
So,
kind of thing.
we need an owner, and Carlos, I was just picking on you. We'll figure out who needs to own this. but we'll set that owner hopefully in the next week for the document. So we need an owner. We need a schedule for when it goes final, and realizing that we may still have some conflicts with certain members on certain aspects, but we say we need to have a final publication as of this date. And then
do some sprints on it.
Let's take advantage of our social media campaigns for us and our speaking at conferences and things of that nature.
Well, James, you just said what I was thinking. All right, so a lot of us work with different clients. We can socialize it through our clients.
Yep.
The other thing are the three of us are going to be at hello, brain. Three of us are going to be at Perform for Dynatrace.
And STPCon.
We could launch it there.
That's where I was thinking we should
Rock
launch
and
it.
roll.
So launch it at Perform.
So
Launch it at Perform.
But get ready for that.
There's a date.
There is a date. The date's October 13th. Does it start, or are we flying on the 13th? It starts the 14th.
STP is earlier, October 8th.
STP is
something.
1 week earlier, October 4th.
Which is a better one?
I think Perform's the better one because all those people are much more performance-related versus
All the
STP.
agilistas are
You
out.
could do
Perform.
both.
Not
What
STP.
is the problem?
No, not really. It's all traditional QA.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think Perform's a
Looks
better
like
place to do it.
at STP we have a lot of performance people at the moment.
Well, of course, because we're all
It looks like at least
You'll be
we
there,
will
I'll be there,
meet
you'll be
there.
Well, good point.
All right.
Maybe I should be.
So in terms of, first of all, thank you guys for your thoughts and contributions. Obviously, the point is there's tons of energy around it. It's a good idea. We just need structure, and we'll follow through. And you know, it's been a busy year. Yeah, I know. This is just like last year. We just talk and drink some scotch and talk some more. Did you have the Cal Elo?
Yeah, it's very good.
You like it?
Yes.
Again, it's a little smoky.
It's very smooth.
I just had it too. Very nice.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
It's a 12-year. Thank you, Alex, for bringing that. To Alex's point, there's a few other things we wanted to cover, and I'll jump down here a little bit. Do we need a performance certification? Do we need to be able to have someone come out with a degree in performance? Now, there's no degree. You can't get a bachelor's in software testing. How on earth are we going to get a bachelor's degree or a certification?
So something Mark and I
in
had
performance.
discussed in December here at this property, in fact, was what does a vendor-neutral performance certification looks like. And the closest model that we have is the CISSP security credential. Now, they did not start out with their own credential. They started off with a composite credential, which is they had anchor points for their book of knowledge, and that corresponded to an existing vendor credential. And when you got N number of items plus an internship, you had a default security credential in that space. So if we were to follow that model, and let's say you anchored some number of existing industry credentials to build a composite certification, you might have foundation skills in database, programming, test, 5 or 6 different disciplines, out of which, okay, for database, you have the option of picking Oracle, Microsoft, DB2 to a certain level of certification to build a composite. But what we added at the end is you had to have an in-person validation before you could get to an actual certificate. Is that you might show up with all these credentials, but as we all know, a lot of these credentials are compromised. You can download the answers from the internet.
Yeah.
You can go in and have someone take it for you. But that final level of validation is you show up for a half a day. You have 3 judges. Alex, you may be a judge. Mark may be a judge. Carlos may be a judge. And you get the opportunity. You can ask them anything in their resume, performance related. You can give them a problem. Hey, you're Oracle certified. Let me ask you these questions. But it's that final touch point that you can't simply go in and study a bank of questions that has been downloaded from the internet. And
there
know
is
the
no
answers.
PSTQB. the
Yeah.
performance stuff, whatever, blah blah blah.
So it's a different model,
Yeah.
and that's
Now, Alex, you're engaged. We've been engaged with Walt on the Performance Engineering Book of Knowledge.
Yes, there was.
It also had a burst of energy, and then I haven't seen any updates for like a year.
No.
Same.
There was nobody
same
because
problem.
again, all people are interested, but there was nobody who is ready to do that. Question is that you need to do that.
We're all too freaking busy.
Well, you want
about that.
It's kind of
And-
interesting. We don't have really anyone in A lot of these things are driven by people in academia, and there's really nobody in academia from performance engineering.
Or somebody.
The leader on the functional testing side would be Kem Kaner in Florida, who's got people who can get actual education. Part of their computer science degree can be a specialty in software testing, and they come out with, I think, with a software testing
Actually,
BA.
with
There are, like,
all
different
this
colleges now
criticism
doing
of
that.
A few, yeah. They follow his model.
ISTQB, and maybe their testing can be questioned, they did great work about creating their syllabus.
yeah.
They cover a lot of knowledge. How they test on for foundation level we can discuss, but they did some good work, and somehow they did that.
Yeah.
There's
And-
two things here. Like, if I want, sorry, Alex, but going a little bit, stepping back one step, is that there is a need that we see that there should be some level of performance aptitude to be able to perform and do well
These
in this. Yes, but there's also something that we're like. I see that we should look at the driver. What would drive the need for having a certification?
I have an idea. If you started firing people who caused an outage, and then they said, "Well, I have to go get certified to get rehired,"
But that doesn't exist now.
can't we start firing people?
No, because
Let's
we
start
don't.
fi-
We don't.
You don't have any people
no,
to fire.
I'm
and
saying there's
you
to
don't
get
have
people
anybody to
fired.
fire.
No, I'm not.
Your
I
personally,
think this idea
or
is
James.
great, but the
Okay,
point
what about
that
hiring then? What if we made it a...
And again,
we have a
it's-
public service announcement on the procurement department.
Are anybody of us personally hiring?
Yeah, I hire all the time.
So
What is your position? at
So
Cissp?
for
I
so
started
for
out
HR
as an
HR is
architect.
going into the driving.
HR
driving
uses
mode.
these credentials all the time as discriminators in the hiring process. The challenge is they don't know which ones
guys-
have value or not.
You guys are live on the air.
So my
Yeah,
point was
I have
with
direct
regarding to
reports.
driver is that there is a bigger. I'm just thinking aloud. Like as you say regarding security, there was a driver because security is very important. It's much more important scene-wise than performance and quality of the software. It's more security because then there's some people who are going to be affected. People are going to be invaded in their laptop. Images might be pulled out, whatever. So security always was much higher level.
You seem to have a lot of concern about images being pulled from your laptop.
Yeah,
Carlos.
so
I've
is there
heard a lot
something
of
you wanna
stories,
tell
not
us
my
about
laptop.
Your laptop?
I'm talking about
Something-
security in general from a CEO level down. So we're talking about in general, like what drove security.
In general, it different level. For performance, I for a long time realized that if people don't have any performance problem, you shouldn't spend time talking to them, explaining about importance of performance.
Yeah.
Until they get pain, one way or another, they never come to that topic.
They don't budge. And
This-
that's the
this
sad
But
is-
we
part.
still have enough people who get to that
So-
point.
I gotta
Otherwise,
say,
we
to
didn't
your
have
point,
any job here.
Carlos, to your point in security, 5 of the last companies I worked with, the only time they started taking security seriously is after an outage.
Is after they got
and
hacked.
I think it hits. It maybe is the same way for functionality, like a missed requirement, like a missed idea in the idea of a feature. Suddenly, we thought we knew it should work perfectly this way, and all of a sudden we got it, and we're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, we didn't think about this." And so we see it in functionality too, but in non-functional, it's more complex. I think to your point, it's more sophisticated.
Correct.
And suddenly it's like you get a security outage, and we're compared to performance, security cost is huge.
Right.
And the spend,
hold on.
because of CISSP and the visibility, people will budget-wise oh, you want to fix a security problem? You build an entire office and a partner and a process, and it's millions.
No,
performance outage costs you in e-commerce, but the investment to repair processes and all this stuff for performance, you never get the budget for performance.
Real performance issues, you will get budget. As soon as you started seriously get performance issue, you get budget, you get people, you get everything.
But you don't often get the fix. So you look at healthcare.gov.
You can't say that.
Okay, you look at the site that we shall not name, and it still has performance issues.
Guys,
it means that it is not serious enough.
Performance covers a lot of more different aspects of an infrastructure. Security, usually they spend a lot in firewalls. There's a lot of security issues across, but you see most of the spend is to block people from coming from outside.
Right.
It's not spend inside.
Code security.
To get it right with your own people.
Correct.
To prevent people from the outside.
Correct.
But you need to hire 100 new people on the inside to teach you how to prevent the people from the outside from compromising the people on the inside to get the information from your customers who are on the outside.
And it becomes a vicious circle.
Correct. But
that's a crazy amount of money.
Yes.
We're going to be right back.
What discussion going that I wanted to continue?
We have to take a break, and this is like taking forever, man. You can't say that. We're live on the air.
After the bloody
break.
break.
They're gonna dump us because we're not. Come on, Howard. You've been drinking? No.
He just didn't sleep. Somebody let him sleep.
Somebody let me take my nap.
I know, that's crazy. But we're going to take a little break for a public service announcement. James, this is about the procurement department.
You know them. You see them hit the end of an iteration and they just plain ran out of time for performance testing. You hear them convincing the VP of development to just fire all the testers. You see some other kids aren't testing at all. And you see the cool kids, well, they're testing in prod. It can be tough under all that peer pressure just because you want to be cool too. But being cool isn't as important as it seems. PerfBytes encourages you to keep your own commitment to quality steadfast and not give in to those trendy, cool hipsters who don't know how to test and who, by the way, don't pay for what happens in prod. Stand your ground against emergency promotions and too fast releases directly to production without any testing whatsoever. Know that PerfBytes supports you because friends don't let friends deploy without testing.
Because the more you know.
One difference of security may be because even single example of performance security break is a problem. So if you get one thing's broken, it is a problem.
I'll say it's a problem. I'll say it's a
cases
problem when 1 million credit cards get hacked off your site.
Yeah,
that's a huge problem. It inconveniences the end user. The credit card companies have to start canceling your credit cards. Litigation lawsuits. Damn right.
Those are security.
Performance is a little bit more gradual impact. Yeah. So until you get to final breakup and downtime,
so
it's questionable of what is impact.
What about this? I have a question for you. What about the fact that the fix to security could be as simple as, change this SQL statement, or here's a simple line of code fix, whereas a performance fix could be loads of hardware, architectural change, completely
network,
writing an app. Is the cost of a fix relative to the cause? Does that impact us?
I don't know.
What does this have to do with
Quite
certification?
Could be because after
started with certification.
Some initial fixes, which is simple for performance, if we suppose that somebody relatively good working on performance, further improvement of performance probably require a lot of efforts and money.
So one thing that the CISSP did is they spent a lot of outreach to HR professionals and other IT professionals to tell people why it's important to have these foundation skills and these foundation blocks of knowledge, and then why it was important that you hire people with these credentials that are validated to have this knowledge set.
It's a marketing campaign.
There is some marketing aspect to it, but let's face it. We have a very serious problem in the performance industry because we are the Wild West. Anyone can hang up a shingle and say, I are a performance engineer on day one. And in fact,
not a lot of people will check them.
A lot of people will check them. In fact, I've been witness to a conversation at a client where a project manager told someone to go home and watch YouTube videos and come back because they would be the performance lead the next day.
Then you know something, James? That person's an idiot.
Yes, they are, but they were also in a budgetary control.
You know, then I can't help. I can't help it if people. You know what you can't.
But they would never.
You know what
do
you can't
that.
cure. You can't cure stupid. All right.
Or
In a good engineering organization, you wouldn't have that happen.
But
I'm sorry.
It happens all over the
We
place.
have a lot of stupid people too, but again,
Or
we
corrupt
don't
people.
have anything to
we were
get
talking-
people to
We were
measure
talking 2 seconds.
against.
We were talking about 5-10 minutes ago. Who here hires, right? And so I hire.
Yep.
Right? I have hiring authority. But even before I made my move into quasi-management and became a technical director, when I took the job from an architect to a technical director, I still, although I didn't make the final decision on the hire, if they didn't pass my muster, guess what? They weren't hired, whether I had the decision making or not. If I thought they weren't worth it, then we wouldn't hire them.
But you are working for performance vendor.
Even when I wasn't working for performance, look. So I've been a director. I've been a director of performance engineering groups,
IT,
and
corporate
I
IT.
will like. I've always had that authority, and guess what? I wasn't working for a tools vendor. I was working IT organization, engineering organization, and guess what? They still wouldn't get hired because I wouldn't let them.
Honestly,
Actually, with every company I work with, and I did few projects with large corporations, they had pretty good performance engineering group with pretty competent people in it.
What happened?
And that's the key.
They left and went to security.
Yeah.
No, you know what happened to
There
them?
was some companies that outsource it.
Oh,
or
that's
it,
exactly-
And there are companies that there is nothing.
Alex, you just hit the nail on the head. What happened to him was the dollar signs went ka-ching. Let's go get that $25 an hour offshore resource that our project so richly
but you know what?
deserves,
You
and
can't-
bang, we're gone.
You can't do that for CISSP. The level of knowledge is so high
You
that
can't outsource
you can't outsource that and get a lower quality CISSP. They don't exist.
They don't exist.
But
they
we
do in
don't have
performance because
anything
we
in
haven't given them the
performance
cert to do it.
formally.
And I
For
think
example,
that's where this
again,
whole discussion
where you
starts
are,
from.
you will
Because of that.
I
control
don't know why
quality.
he's talking
But
about that.
if there is a company where is nobody who is competent enough in performance,
Then they get what they get.
yeah,
I'm
so-
sorry.
so, you know,
They're
it-
stupid. They get what they
try-
get.
I gotta
even
say,
if they're not stupid,
Alex.
they're trying to figure
Alex.
out how to do that. And
Alex,
who know
I gotta
when-
say, in the interest of an interesting podcast, as riveting as the rant is, we now there's a dead horse in the middle of the room, and we're just going to beat.
Yeah,
it
we
to
just
death.
beat the crap out of it.
So yeah, there's just no need to beat the dead horse. If there's something enlightening and uplifting about this, there is an example in the CISSP and the way that whole engine has been operating as an industry with vendors, with practitioners, with certificate bodies, with training over the last 15 years, that we got roped from performance into the testing space, and security doesn't smell anything like the testing space. They are a totally separate culture with a totally separate set of way of operating in business. Performance is, we for better or for worse, we're LoadRunner connected to WindRunner, connected to Mercury, connected to HP, and that's been the dominant voice. That performance and functional testing is over here.
together.
Security is over there, culturally.
Yeah. But
Performance and
load
QA
runner is
kept
not
separate.
equal to performance engineering.
Performance and QA in everybody's mind
Goes
that
together.
It's a
goes
tool.
together. Anybody who doesn't know technical, we're all technical. But the people who make decisions with money are non-technical.
I would say 9 of the 10, if you talk to 9 out of 10 people, their idea of a performance engineer is somebody who can
Write a
script. And that's a performance.
And
it's
the people who
totally
know.
wrong. That's
the
totally
people who
wrong.
know.
I'm just saying,
There's
but
some
9 out
people
of
who
10 are that way. And that's absolutely
So,
wrong.
On the to your question, the original question, Alex, which is, do we need a performance certification? Yes, but we need much, much more than that. We need to, you know what I'm saying? There's so
I
many
agree,
more
but
things
we
around.
cannot get it out even Performance Manifesto at the moment.
And the Performance Engineering Book of Knowledge as well. So we'll kind of let that rest for a little bit and come back to the idea because it's getting late. I don't know if you guys know that here on the East Coast.
Is it?
It is. And
Yeah,
there's some people
it's
gonna be
a
driving
little
home.
bit after 10 o'clock on the East Coast.
So we still have a lot of scotch.
We've talked about cheese. We've talked about what you're drinking. We haven't talked about the survey results. Some of the things we're going to do next year. So just a few of the things, James. If you give us a highlight, I know off the top, we didn't quite get a sample size that we desired.
So, as a performance engineer, we need to talk about statistically valid data sets.
So, guys, what's a statistically valid sample size?
So, you remember confidence intervals from statistics?
Anyone?
If I want a 97%
Stats?
confidence in my...
You're a performance engineer.
Yep. So I have a population of 5,000. I want a 97% confidence in my sample set. What number do I need, Carlos?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, God. You want to phone a friend?
I have 5,000 listeners, and I'm issuing a survey. I want 97% confidence in my results. How many samples do I need out of that 5,000 in order to achieve a 97% confidence?
If you're talking just statistics, 20%.
Okay, so we got 17. Not
It's not 17%.
That's 17 out of 5,000.
I, for example, haven't seen that survey.
Did you fill out the survey?
I haven't seen any
It's
mention
been posted
about
on the Twitter feed and the Facebook page and the Tumblr page and the thing of the thing. I even called you personally and left you a voicemail. Oh, you didn't get my voicemail.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. We know this is not statistically valid. We could print off a sheet of paper and hand it to someone, and they could do a checkbox survey done.
And we'll let the survey stay open.
Yeah, we're
a few
gonna
more months
we're gonna let it stay open.
And I think we need to be
Let's
publicized.
do,
We need to be
one more
publicizing
round
this.
of sending it out.
We need to publicize on every show, not just Twitter feeds and not just Facebook. We need to drive it for about a good month, 2 months worth of shows, every single bloody show. Fill out the survey at blasey.blasey.blasey.
This is not an internal meeting. We're live on the air.
Yeah,
with
I
the
know that.
listeners.
Okay,
They don't
so
wanna
I'm
hear
still
your
having a
internal
discussion.
rants about what we're not doing, Howard.
I really don't give a crap if they want to
Okay,
hear it or
so
not.
out of our user population, out of the 17 interested users, there are some interesting data sets. 75% of the listeners who filled out the survey, granted it's a very small, very intensive data set,
True.
They want to hear more about security.
Funny, we were just talking about that.
Yes, they want to hear more about security.
Performance and security or security alone?
Security alone.
Security alone. So they want more shows about security, which, given that we haven't done any shows about security, maybe one would satisfy them. I don't know. So they want to hear more about security. Let's see.
We didn't get performance. I would have.
Mark, are you feeling secure right now?
67% of our users
I hacked myself.
want tool-based shows. Now, we have deliberately avoided, with few exceptions where we've had a vendor on, tool-based shows. We've concentrated on technologies, architecture, problems,
Generic tool tips.
to expand general product knowledge. But people want specific tool-based shows, and half the population, well, small sample set, want those shows to be on open source technologies.
All right.
So again, it's people wanting to use this show to
Learn how
Learn.
to do and how
How to do
basically how to
performance.
take your job away from you.
Yes.
Plus.
Yeah,
That's what they're
and,
asking for.
With an
From
open source
that
tool.
set, which is 8
Very
people,
small.
9 people.
Yeah.
So 65% of them want a knowledge base online. They would like us to host a
They
knowledge
want the
base.
Performance Engineering Book of Knowledge.
And
By tools or by
just
what?
a generic knowledge base that they can go and search, which which is what they're going and asking questions on public forums today,
Yes.
where they're getting hammered by Mark.
A guy named James Pulley.
And and also something very, very interesting. I went and I pulled the logs for all of July for all of the hosts that had accessed the survey site. And of those hosts, 64 hosts were from Amazon EC2 alone. These are bots.
We got botted.
These are not real
Our
users.
survey got botted. We're so popular, we got botted.
79.
I feel like a TMZ website.
Yeah, 79 were users, or 79 were, let's say they were not Amazon.
Yes.
Some percentage of those were probably other bot-related sites, because we know that only
Google.
16... No, this is outside of Googlebot and stuff like that.
Oh.
So this is... We did a show on bots, managing your bot load and what's going to happen to your site.
Bots.
Bots.
And this site that's only been up a month pretty much shows those exact characteristics that you put up a public site, and all of a sudden you have all these automated agents coming and hitting your site and taking away from the user experience because they're stealing resources.
So we're very sorry if the survey was slow. We have to use our own practices to fix our own survey site.
I put this out as bot bait, admittedly, just to see what would happen.
And by the way, if you haven't had a chance to listen to bots, we highly recommend it.
Yeah. So surveys.perfbytes.com. It'll be alive again tomorrow morning. Please go and fill out the survey. Give us your information. I disagree with Carlos that it has to be a 20% sampling rate.
10 to 20.
No, it wouldn't be.
No, it's not going to be that high for 97% confidence.
I'm sorry.
So
I got an A in stats in college. Sample size should be at least 100. That's what I knew. 100. N equals 100. That was the answer. I got an A in the class.
There you go.
Okay. So
I was going to say
what's
100.
The sample size?
I was asking you, sir.
I answered. You said that you don't agree with me.
97% confidence level in a 5,000.
I just remember
you
my
would want like 4,900.
No, 100 responses.
I just remember my manufacturing quality control. It would have not been 20% that they would have been pulling off the line to measure widget A.
But 499 is almost 20%.
For 97%.
It depends on dispersion.
That's 10%.
I'll have to go back and calculate, sir. Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's a stats book on the shelf.
So please, please fill out the
From a polling
survey.
perspective, I think it's 20%.
So that means we have to have 1,000.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we're a long way from Tipperary.
That's right. And with that, we're going to close this riveting roundabout conversation from everything certification to cheese and scotch and manifesto-ness.
Cheese.
And
surveyness.
And who won the barbecue contest?
I just want to say Howard Chorney won the barbecue event.
Beautiful.
Are you going to stand
I think Howard Chorney's ribs are really good.
Thanks,
Now
James.
you sound like you've been programmed or brainwashed.
Now he sounds like a bot.
Are you going to be standing up congratulating?
I will not kiss the ring of Mr. Chorney.
I think you should concede it on the website myself.
Good.
I'll do that.
Alex,
You don't have to, James.
thank you for coming. Your closing thoughts on the day?
So it was great, and I will follow up later.
PBOK, Performance Manifesto, you want to do it?
Yeah, it is all that stuff.
Very good. Jeff?
Honored to be asked regular listener from here on out, and hope I see everybody again soon.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. Thanks for coming very much.
Thank you guys.
Really
Thank you so
awesome.
much. I had a wonderful day.
Yeah, and share the podcast with colleagues who might like it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And we may call on you in the Angelista-ness.
I'd love if you did. That would be great. I'd love to be part of that.
Alex Point, we need to advertise. Carlos. Now, let's just, for a second, let me say, Carlos is one of the original founding fathers of PerfBytes at IHOP in Beaverton.
No. Hold on. He always arrived late.
It's fine. He arrived late today. Perfect. Exactly as expected.
Keeps
Carlos,
the streak
I'm glad
going.
you're here in the flesh. You've been on shows before, but now you're here with us in the studio.
And I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys. It was a great day. And we had a lot of fun, a lot of great scotch.
Intensity.
be the owner. I'll be designing. I'll be dictating.
No.
You like it?
Yes.
Funky, groovy.
I love the bass riffs.
But Scott Moore always wanted to turn it into something like heavy metal.
I think it should change. There should be some ups and downs.
What the heck does that mean?
More emotional, maybe.
More like, for instance, when was that we were talking earlier, there were like certain things like making dramatic, more intense, or whatever you're saying.
Listen to your PerfBytes. 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 Listen to your PerfBytes.
Yeah, but we need to change it. See, like change it. Yeah. No,
Listen to your PerfBytes.
see, like that's good.
Listen to your PerfBytes. Listen to your PerfBytes. Listen to your PerfBytes. Listen to your PerfBytes. Get funky now. Let's go. Listen to your PerfBytes. Yeah, PerfBytes. I'll be listening to my PerfBytes. Listen to your PerfBytes. Be PerfByte now. Listen to my PerfBytes. I do, so keep listening to your PerfBytes.
It's great.
And I'm keeping it clean. I'm keeping it. Listen to your PerfBytes. Whatever.
Jackalope.
Good night, Gracie. Who is that?
Bye, Felicia. There we go.
Oh, you know one thing I didn't say all night long?